Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki and welcome to Retail Merchandising. Today we're going to be covering Chapter 12, Retail Pricing. We've talked the last couple of chapters, we talked about the inventory turnover, we talked about the accounting was one whole chapter, we talked about different costs associated. So today, remember, the following chapters, the next couple of chapters is more in the pricing. You have a good idea, you're in the fashion industry, you're in a fashion program at the college, at Harper College, or at another university, and you're looking at this as a supplement. You're taking me for an online class, and you're looking, and this lecture here is a supplement. You have access to my, or a face-to-face class, you have access to my mind maps, and you'll usually have the second tier in a PDF file. Print those out. You have access to the author's book, the book that we're utilizing for this course at the college level. If you're not taking this and you just found me on the YouTube, there's a lot of information here. You almost have to have the class, read the material, and do the discussions within the course to actually learn the concept. Same here, I'm going to go over real quickly. If you notice, out of all the chapters, so far there is a lot of information. Why prices are vital, what's the correct price, what's the markup. You have to mark up your prices. You get it at a cost. You're at the end of the retail or the marketing channel that we discussed earlier. And types of markups, why do I mark them up? Certain markdowns. After a while, we talked before, the inventory's old, you got to get rid of it. You got to, the little video we had, you got to bite the bullet, for lack of a better word, and mark it down, because otherwise you get stuck with stuff that's garbage. You might as well just throw the money out. You're trying to recoup something, at least get something out of it. So I don't lose all my investment. Even if I want to break even, but if I don't break even, man, 50 cents on a dollar is better than losing the whole dollar. Okay, and that's something you have to think. Remember, you're very creative. Most of you are in the fashion program, or some of you are retail managers, or you're store owners, or you open up your own boutique, or any kind of merchandising you're selling. This course here, you have to know, how much do I charge? How much, what do I get it for? How much do I mark it up? And remember, we'll talk about the markups and markdowns. It's because it's the markups are, how I pay for my advertising, how do I pay for my product. Like it or not, inventory, your product, what you make, is the heart of your business. You got the creative, you got the best styles, you got everything else. Man, people are buying this stuff, but I'm not making a profit. What's going wrong? I'm losing money because my markup is too low. Or I'm keeping stuff that's too old. I should just got rid of it. It's taking space. I don't have room for the new thing. They come in, I got the same old stuff again. You have to change. Remember, in the fashion, you always have to change. You may have one style that is predominant, that you enjoy, that your clientele, but your clienteles are changing. People moving out, people moving in. You as a retail merchandiser have to change. The pricing is going up, the pricing is going down. You don't expect to get the same return or profit or markup if you're in the economy is sluggish and people don't have disposable income. So you have to reduce on, what I want my profit margin. But afterwards, now how do I bring my profit back up? The economy is getting better. I want my employees want a raise. The cost of goods are more expensive, so now I have to bring it up. And how do I gradually bring that up without, we're going to talk about the price sensitivity. Certain products are very price sensitive. They go up too much, they don't buy it. And then you're going to talk about deceptive pricing, something that people do to play around with. That it's unethical. Sometimes it's illegal, depending the fine line that you as a retail merchant. I know you want to survive your business, but you have to look at the laws, the ethical issues in pricing, and then how do I come up with my retail price? I got to look at the competition. What's my expenses? Where am I at? What's my customer? All these factors are part of pricing. And I know for some, we're going to go through it here, and we're going to go through some formulas. I'm just going to go briefly over. You have to read the book. I'll teach introduction to math, the business math once in a while, in the finance, once in a while, international finance. All those concepts, when you're looking at math and everything else, all those concepts, you have to understand the costs. There's no way you're going to make that. You have to understand the cost. Whether I'm doing a retail merchandising cost or I'm a contractor, plumbing, I have to know what my expenses are. I have to know my labor costs. I have to know I got to pay for the healthcare costs now. I know I have to pay for this. All those are part of what they call the burden cost, part of my costs on here. I'm not going to go into detail. You're going to learn more when you take accounting classes, when you take finance classes. This is just for you. Let's say you're going to open up your store boutique. You got your degree in fashion merchandising. You got somebody funding you. You have crowdfunding. You're going to talk about later, crowdfunding later on, little pieces, or maybe a bank or a family, and then you open up. Now you have to decide, what should I charge for my services? What should I charge for my product? I have to make it back. I had one lady that was working, she was making things, crafts, and she was charging at that. And she said, business is good. Oh, no, just barely making it. And I'm looking at it, this is handmade stuff, top quality, and she's only charging $3. I could get that stuff from China. Nothing wrong with Chinese stuff. There's a lot of good, expensive stuff. But when I'm talking about mass produced, I said you charge higher. People pay higher for this. This is good. She upped it by double the price. She lost some of the other people because they were taking advantage. They were buying it and selling it in their own shops because it was so cheap. So inexpensive. Okay, and then when you talk about price and everything else, you don't ever say it's a low price. It's the most competitive, economical price. Don't ever use price to associate an inferior good. Your customers are. You always try to say, this is the best price, or this is a price substitute, or this is economic price. You get the best money for your dollars or whatever, but never make it look as a negative. Okay, so let's go into here. Okay, and remember, there's a lot of information. I'm going to go through it. You have to read the book. When you do any kind of math, the only way you're going to learn math and equations, you have to do it on your own. I may take it in fractions. It makes it easier for me to understand. You may like it in percentages, right? You use a percentage, or you may convert into decimals because it's easier for you to use the calculator, right? Do you know what I mean? But you're still coming up to the same answer at the end. How much is it per unit? How much should I charge? Because they're all relationship when you look at math. But what works for you, how I solve it, you may look at it a little bit different. We all think and process differently. I could give you a template. The author gives you a template. Remember, if you take an accounting, there's a template. You have to follow the rules. When you're coming over to pricing, the math, you have to understand it. How do I do it? What makes sense for me? Okay? So why price is vital. And I covered a little bit already now. Prices are vital. Let me see if I have this at 200. And there we go. Okay, it's a lot easier for you to read. Remember, open up the concept maps, my mind maps, read the book real good, stop, and don't just read it when you're tired. This is math, and then other chapters you have to do the format, you have to understand in your mind. Picture it, do something, figure it out, listen to this video, look at the book, look at the websites, and you'll do fine, okay? And then in the class, ask the questions, or within our forums, ask the questions, and I or some of the students that have the answers will be able to help you. That's how you learn in class. You just don't sit there like some people just sit there very quiet, they're still taking in, but you have to learn that interaction with people. How do I learn stuff? How do I, if I don't understand, ask the right question so someone could explain it? The other person, I know the answer, how could I transfer that knowledge? No different than the retail merchandising. I have a product, how do I bring the product over? Okay. Prices are the chief source of revenue and profit. You need to know your prices, or you're not going to make a revenue or profit. Remember when you read in the author, they said about for retail merchandising, an average. Some prices are higher, markups are higher or lower, but an average markup about 55%. Holy mackerel, that's double what I paid for it. Yes, but look how long you have to pay for the interest. You have to take a loan out to get the material 6 months in advance. It's sitting there. You have to warehouse it. You have to insure it. You have to make sure it doesn't get damaged, get stolen, right? So you're bringing all that. You're taking a risk. Then you put it on your shelves. You have to advertise it. All those are costs that are embedded in you selling one little item. So you're looking at that, wow. Remember, that's why I said furniture is always like 200% markup on most furniture. Value sitter maybe 150%, but because they keep it they have to keep it for so long. Handmade has to keep it before someone likes that piece of furniture. Unless a mass-produced thing like a IKEA has, but most of the furniture it has is unique. Okay? Okay, so price times the units sold equals total revenue. Very easy. How many, price times how many units, my total revenue. Not making any profit. This is how much is coming in. It's like, here's your paycheck. Before the Uncle Sam or Mrs. Sam or any of the Sams takes the money out for different taxes. Okay? Higher prices bring in a higher gross margin. That means I have a higher return because when I'm looking at higher prices, when I'm doing higher prices, it means my expenses are reasonable or what is in industry. So I contain my expenses. Because look, if my expenses are real high because I'm not watching them and I'm charging higher prices, I am not bringing in higher profits. Understand that? I want you to understand the pricing. Look at the correlation, the relationship, and utilize what you're doing with your fashion. You're looking what two things complement each other. Pricing and margins complement, but the other thing is how do I reduce my expenses? So if you're coming up with a nice design, you have a boutique, you have your own clothing line. If you're looking at the high-end, fine, you could have the higher quality. But if you're looking at the lower mass-producing, you have to have a material that's easily done and works through the manufacturing. Or you could have it overseas, China, or different countries that will do or India is good for a clothing line for doing a lot of manufacturing by hand and everything else. And then you could say hand stitch, but you're paying the price, the exporting, importing. Okay, so looking at prices are vital. You have to understand the pricing because that's what if your price is too high, your inventory is sitting, and we'll talk about obsolete and everything else on that. Okay, and customer refuse to buy or go someplace else. Remember, if it's too high, they're going to go someplace else, especially in clothing. You'll find a substitute, especially in the fashion, because you have the Target. And if you're looking at the fashion, just when I look at different pricing for different industries, and let me I try to explain that because in the forum people are going, I don't really understand. I could buy a car. I want to buy a Mini Cooper. Because that's just the last ad I was looking at. Mini Cooper, nice little car, British cars, the high end, nice cars, better than the smart cars. Got a little flavor into it. You see them in a lot of the movies. Okay, so I could buy a Mini Cooper, fully loaded. I forgot. Let's say about 30,000, 40,000. Probably a little higher, give or take. Okay. Now the same Mini Cooper, that's because the high end, everything's on there. Let's say in the Barrington area or the Lake Forest area. Now I'm going to go in the area, let's say maybe the Palatine area or the Grays Lake. It's still a high end, but not that high end. It's the upper middle class. There I may sell the same Mini Cooper. Instead of for 40,000, I'll sell it for 30,000. Why? Instead of leather seats, I have Levi or cloth. Instead of chrome, real chrome, I may have plastic. Instead of a skylight, I have no skylight. You know what I mean? Instead of all that. So do you see what I mean? It's still the basic car, the components, the engine that you're buying for are the same. Same output or everything else. But some of the other accessories are not the same. Great. You see what I mean? So when I'm looking at, when Walmart or when some bike manufacturer is selling to Walmart because they got the lowest prices, they're going by the brand name. It's got a reputation, brand, all this. But the metals may be different. The gears are made the same way, but instead of using a higher alloy, you may be using just steel or something else. I'm not instead of in that area. I'm just trying to do a contrast. You see what I mean? So what they're doing is no different than I'm buying generic drugs versus the prescription drugs or the manufacturers. You know what I mean? The real drug, not the generic. The manufacturer's drugs. The brand name. Sorry, that's lost here a word. The brand name. What's the difference? The main component, ingredient of that generic brand name is the same as the generic. It's the base that's different. That's where people get some allergies. They may put something in there with corn or peanut butter, or something that may be allergenic to someone else where the brand name has a higher end. That's the only difference. But the base ingredient's the same. You look at the ingredients, same amount. It's just, you know what I mean? But the base is different. All right? So, boy, let's go. We'll be here for 3 hours. This one may be a little longer. I'm going to try to keep it under 2 hours, so I'm going to move along. What is the correct price? Good question. High enough to meet organizational profits. You have to know. A lot of companies, we got to get a return of 55% or 20%. Remember, the quicker I turn my inventory, the more money I have. because that inventory is what's eating up. All this other things to keep the inventory safe and everything else is what's eating up. So if I have a higher turnover ratio that we talked about, to 26 weeks, I turn it over in 5 weeks, boom, I have more cash flow because I'm bringing money in, bringing out. I don't have a long time to pay my creditors off, so I get a better credit loan. All this is a domino effect. And pricing, okay? Low enough to sell the merchandise. Remember, you could have a little bit higher if you have the added value that we talked about, product offering or the brand of your store. Depends where you're at. Depends on your clientele, what they can afford, and depends on the economic condition in that area that you're working at. Consideration setting retail prices. Some things are price sensitive. We're talking about this. Some people, if I just go up 5 cents, they'll stop buying my product because there's substitute. What's my competition doing? The lower, how does Amazon beat everyone else? Other retailers, I get it. I don't have to pay any shipping, and usually they have the lowest prices if they have the item I want. Sometimes Amazon doesn't have anything. Remember, they're not like the gorilla or category killers. They just carry what they have a lot, and maybe overstock, overflow, or a manufacturer made too much, and that's what they're carrying, so they could keep the prices lower. You can't compete, but not everything that you're looking for. Okay, and then the cost, and then the legal constraints. So they're not, they follow all the legal rules. Okay, so what's a markup? Let's look at markup, or a mark on. Markup, mark on. I'm putting something on to the cost that I got. Is the amount added to the cost to establish a retail price. Okay, retail price is the cost that I paid for it and my markup. So when you look at it, the markup, when I was in ComEd, and I had a construction crew out there, and we charge the customer about $250 for labor costs. And oh my God, the electrician may be making $50, $60. I got to pay for the truck, right? I got the loan on that. I got to have insurance on that, workman's comp. I got to bring the tools. I have to do all this. I got to pay overtime. I have to make sure I got all the licensing. All that is part of the burden cost. So really, that electrician is getting his or her share. All this is for me to make my profit or make some money. Or even a public utility had to make money to reinvest back into the structure. Okay, so the formula for expressing markup is, I'm just going to look at it, as a percentage of the cost is markup percent equals markup divided by the cost times 100. Because we're talking percentage, so it's got to be by 100. Okay, in the retail, the dollars, the markup divided by the dollar retail times 100 equals my markup. Now, when I'm looking at the markup, remember, if I'm looking at a store and I want to see, am I getting a good deal from my supplier? And he's going to say, yeah, this is the average deal. I could go into the store and I see what they're selling, their prices, and they may have the same prices that I have. But when it comes for the clearance, they clear it down more or to the bottom line. This is the last thing. I can almost tell what their markup is by their what they start marking down, what their profitability was. But until I see the last item. If you track it, you're working backwards. That's where you use a little bit of algebra. It's not bad. If now I know that his markup is higher than mine, or the same price, or that means his expense, so he may be getting a profit because he's not going to mark it down to lose money. He's going to mark it all the way down, same way I would down to the break-even point. Once I know that break-even point, the last thing he goes down there, you're just taking a gamble because some people may never go past the break-even point. They always make some money and they get stuck with stuff. I could pick that up. Okay, so remember, you have to. You could use this formula, look at your competitors, and look at what you're doing. So if they had getting a better price for what they're buying, hey, that's good. Or and we'll talk later on when we're talking about the. When we talk about do I have to take a markup from a manufacturer or a markdown from a manufacturer. Okay, now, most retailers regard markup as a percentage of retail sales. That's just the thing. The markup is a percentage, always a percentage. Markup a percentage of cost. So the dollar markup divided is always by a percentage. Okay, markup. So $4 divided by 6 is 66% markup on the $4 item. This one I'm selling it for Real easy formula. Remember, read the book. The author does an excellent job. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there may be, I don't think there's a worksheet, but if you've taken accounting, or you've taken finance, this makes a lot more sense. This is strictly the accounting portion, not the book portion that you have to do with the QuickBooks and everything else we talked in the other chapter. This is in your mind, how much do I mark up my product? You control that. In management, if you're taking accounting, you're an accountant, you're managerial accounting. The managerial accounting is basically how to reduce your expenses, or understand the expenses in a manufacturing arena. Same concept, same logic in the retail business. Okay? Okay, now keystoning is doubling the cost of an item to reach a retail price. I'm just going to double the cost to get a retail price if I wanted to. Let's just leave it at that for now. Cause, we got so much with the dollars. Read it. I just want you to understand the definition at this stage, because otherwise you're just going to get confused. Okay, thinking about a markup. So I'm looking about as a percentage of retail can never be higher than 100%. Right? Always 100%. Remember, this 100% in retail. You don't mark it up. Can never be lower than 0. Read the thing. It makes sense. I just wanted you to do it because if you get a question on that. I can't spend the whole... There's a lot of stuff I'm covering now. You have to read the book. Read it slowly. Read this chapter twice. The next couple of chapters, we're talking about the dollars and everything else. This is your bloodline. You have to know how to move the inventory. You already learned that through advertising, marketing. Now I have to make a good profit, or a sustainable profit, sustain the business, my own disposable income as a retailer, or to the stockholders, depending on what I'm doing. Okay, so let's look at different types of markup. You have the initial markup, additional markup, you have cumulative markup, and how do I maintain a markup? This one you got to square. Initial one, that you may have a question too. The first markup of the original price. Here's my original price, I mark it up. Price is what I get it, I mark it up. First price. Okay, additional markup. After a while, to equalize prices of the merchandise when new goods cost more. Now I have the original price. You can see in a restaurant, all of a sudden, here's a hamburger is only 99 cents, and now the price of beef or tomatoes, and if they say you don't want a tomato, we'll take it off, unless you ask for it. But anyway, so I try to keep the price or make the beef a little smaller, or I raise the price. Because say here, the cost of my supplier went up, I got to mark it up. So I got to bring it up. You see what I'm talking about? This is my original. And customers are looking how your price is going up. They could tell by the consumer price index or the inflation rate, hey, okay, I can see everyone else's price is going up, the competitors going up because the price of goods is going up. No problem. But my my pay is not going up, so I might not be able to buy your product because I'm very price sensitive. Okay, so the formula, 50 cents times down, so 5% additional markup, a percentage of the present retail. I'm just adding on the 5% to offset whatever my cost is. Whether on one product, or it could be my energy rates went up. So that's a burden cost against all my product line, because they all have to have utilize the lighting or unless some products such as refrigeration. How do I raise that price up? If you look at a lot of refrigerators now, when you go into the stores, the lights are on, and because the lights are on, they're generating heat, so it takes me more to cool that area. So if there's no customers, the lights go out the minute I walk in. Like a Photoshop technology, lights go on, and then they look around, they move back after so long, and it turns back off, or to a minimum lighting. Remember, I'm looking at expenses. Okay, cumulative markup is an aggregated markup on all goods with varying markup. Remember, like energy costs went across all goods, so I just multiply it across. And here's the example: ties purchase various prices for $20. And here's so I got one tie at $10. I got 100 ties at $10.75, 210 $10.50, another one at $10.25, 500. So here it is. Divided by 10,000, so it's a 52% markup. I just went across the whole thing, and retail for my ties are $20. You see what I mean? 10. I still get that. So I'm just taking it, and sometimes when you're going to find out in some of the classes, if you take me for, if you take a retail math class, strictly math. I'm just giving you a real overview of it. If you take a retail math, we go to step by step, and explain how you do with the inventory, do the markup. It doesn't make sense if I'm working like a dollar store. I got a lot of little items to mark up each item. I do more of by a category. And the county allows you to do it. Okay, maintain markup. How do I maintain it? The difference between the cost of merchandise and its actual selling price. And you got the scores, so you may look at that. Okay, now markdowns. I got a markup. Let's go markdowns. And I got different markups later on. Markdowns is downward adjustment of retail prices. My price is too high. Customers aren't buying. I got to mark it down. Again, markdown and markups are percentages, right? Times 100. Always get to get your percentage of the current price divided when I have this line in here. The book has the regular formulas. I'm trying to put this into this concept. So you remember, this is just a trigger to remind you. Markdown dollars, original price times a percentage by divided by 100. So I always get in the percentage. Markdown retail price, original price minus markdown dollars. Whew, what did he say? Read the book. Read the book slowly. Look at it. Look at the number. The book, the author has examples. Look at the examples. Follow the examples. This is just a quick overview. Reasons for taking markdowns. Here's where we're at. Employee discounts is part of my thing. Employee benefits. They're working at Gap. They're working at Banana Republic. They're working at Walmart or anything. I give them a discount, so I mark that down. But, so I want them to wear my clothes. I don't want them to steal, so I give them a discount where they could buy the same material at my shop. And then it looks good when my own employees are wearing the merchandise that we're selling. Good. If you look at a car deal, you don't see a Honda and a Chevy thing. A salesperson for Chevy driving a Honda. Newly driving a Chevy, because that's what the neighbors. Where do you work for, Chevy? And you're driving a Honda. Hey, wait, somebody, oh yeah, well, better gas mileage. That doesn't work that way. Okay, promotional and temporary. You have to know, in the quizzes I'm going to ask you, those of you taking me at a college level on this accredited course, I'm going to ask you, is promotion a permanent or a permanent discount, or is it a temporary? Remember, employee discounts, more they can be permanent because I offer, but I can take away the benefits. So let's leave it permanent. But if I'm looking at promotional, like Markdown to reduce the prices, that's temporary. Once the promotion campaign's over, it goes back to the regular price. Now damage is permanent, right? And clearance is more of a permanent one, isn't it? Because I'm getting rid of it. I'm getting rid of this. It's an obsolete. We're not making that model anymore. Here's the same. Last time you're done, we're finished. You can find an upgraded model. A lot of times the same parts work, but this model we're no longer carrying. Okay. So if I'm looking at Markdown as temporary price reduction, okay, if I got this 30% down, send you an annual bag, it's only temporary, just to get you. I get an overstock or anything, buy one, get one free. On merchandise featured in a promotional event, to increase sales and to promote merchandise, to increase traffic flow, and sales of complementary goods. So, okay, and now we got sales of complementary goods. Remember, promotional, a lot of times is when I look Thanksgiving or any of the holidays, you get the turkey for almost nothing. 29 cents a pound, all right? You got the turkey. The gravy, $3. The cranberry, $20. You know what I mean? So to get you into small things, the main item, knowing you're going to buy the complementary things at the regular prices, it's a promotional. And when you look at the markdowns and everything else, it's part of your expense. You could write it down. Sometimes you could write it down to your advertising expense to generate cash to buy additional merchandise. That's what you're doing. You have too much and you need more merchandise. Get rid of the other stuff. I don't have room. I only have a store this much square foot. This stuff's not moving. Mark it down. Promotion. Get rid of it and buy the new one. Or the goods are in there, the rubbers change, or the pricing may go down. So how do I get rid of the stuff that's a higher price and bring in at a more competitive pricing, same material from a different vendor? Okay, now damaged good is broken assessment. That's permanent. You're getting rid of it. And clearance items is to get rid of slow-moving items. I have a pick on here. Clearance women's apparel, shoes, jewelry, right? Last stop. They're trying to get rid of it. No one else, but it's still nothing wrong with it. It's good. It's just the style. Remember, maybe the fashion. It's out of fashion, not out of style. The style's there. Hey, I wear this. I'm an old guy. This looks good for me. You're gonna say, hey, that's not my style. But other people, or remember, we learned that style and fashion. Okay, unseasonable weather, wrong assortment, poor presentations, or late delivery. So I got to get rid of it. Okay, and those are permanent. Obsolete merchandise, discontinued goods, seasonal merchandise, broken assessment. If you look at Costco's and Sam's, a lot of times they're doing stuff that's the manufacturer's not making that model for whatever reason, and they pick it up at a good price. Okay. Now, optimizing markdown decisions, traditional approach is sell-through, identifies markdown's item when its weekly sales through percentages fall below a certain level. I'm watching, remember? I'm looking, what's not moving? How do I get this moving? I'm still making a profit, but I don't want to get stuck with it. Or the season is ending. It's coming close to now, we're in summer or we're in winter, and it's getting close to summer, and it's getting close to winter, whatever. I got to get rid of the other seed or keep it. Some stuff that's classic, like Carhartt, I could keep it if I could keep it cool so the bugs and the moths don't eat it, because the style doesn't change. Others, I got to get rid of it because it may not be stylish or in fashion, but somebody else may like it. Remember, there's always a following a certain fashion or certain styles that, styles that never change, but is it fashionable for that time? Rule-based, cut prices on the basis of how long the merchandise has been in store. Some people, and it's more produce. I got so much produce, I got to get rid of it. It's going to get spoiled, so it's got an expiration date. Or other merchandise, I know it's not the thing that always goes on like underwear or anything else, but it's a different type or different kind of style. I got to get rid of it, otherwise I'm going to get stuck with it, or I'm going to just have to throw it away. Or give it as a charity and take a markdown on that or take a loss on that. Okay? Okay, software. Now there's software here. Here's software that does that. You can't think. A lot of times you got a small boutique. You can see which stuffs are moving or not. It's never been touched. Nobody's looking at it. I got to change something. There's a software that's looking at your inventory. It's looking at how long the goods have been sitting there compared to other goods, and it's doing all this behind the scenes. So it's called Profit Logic Price. And it does it for you. It tells you which goods. It breaks it down by category, how long you had it, what's the markdown, and here's where it's going, where you should be at. So it gives you more information. Here's the site. You can look at this on the site, and they'll give you some information on here. Okay? Should be taken to produce the best result by continually updating. Price forecasting. That's the whole thing, is forecasting. What's my competitors? What prices? What's my profit margin? How much should I at least break even to pay for my rent and everything else? How long should this product stay? Let the software do it for you. Remember, you've already got technology feeding in what's being sold to what unit. Now it just feeds it. It's just an add-on. And it helps you you're still making a determination. The software doesn't tell me it's going to be in fashion or people are buying it. The software may say, get rid of it, and I see people going, hey, wait a minute, here's the software, because it's looking at historical data versus, it's looking at your forecast, how close you are to it. So it gives you an idea, but you still have to make the determination. But you have to understand what the software is. It's just a tool. It don't look at it as like a crystal ball. This is what it said. It's a tool. You still have to utilize this and make the determination. Okay? But it's there. Okay, let's move along here. I better pick up the speed. Liquidating markdown merchandising, sell merchandise to another retailer. We talked about that. I'm going out of business. Some stores are always out of business because people don't realize. Consolidate unsold merchandise. Place merchandise on an internet auction sale. You buy it by a lot. Or a lot of times you come to like Costco, Sam's, you see a merchandise. I'll take all this stuff and sit in here, just pile it up. I'll give you $500 as it is. I'm always making out, but they just want to get rid of it. And so that's what they call their salvage. When they depreciate it or can't do anything else with it, they try to get rid of it. Donate merchandise to charity. A lot of times, a lot of people will give to charity. There's something out there. As long as there's a liability or anything on the product, you can't return it. Or a lot of times you get a higher return, like it or not, for damage or stolen goods by the IRS. So much for charity. And so a lot of people are looking at, what's going to give me more income in my own pocket. I'm a charitable person, but I still have a business and a responsibility to my employees or my stockholders or to the company I work for. Okay? Carry merchandise over to next season. Some people carry that over. I mentioned the Carhartt. Okay, tactical price changes, markdown cancellations. Example, when I look at markdown cancellation, a vendor offers pants regularly costing $20 for $15. Buyer believes he could retail them for $40. Remember, he's getting it for $15 to market it down better. An inflated markup called markup cancellation. Lower prices changes are called markdown. So instead of going down, he's still going to raise up. And I used the example when Dominic's was out here in Jewel. And when you look at Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola, when they give, for the holidays, they give everyone the same markdown because they want to move their product. Just the whole thing, Pepsi over Coke, so the more people buying it. Now, they get the same markdown for the goods, but Dominic's was always charging higher because they could. Jewel might have had it for for $9.99, and Dominic's will have it for $10.99, more. And people buy it. It's still cheaper than the $14, whatever it would have been if you would have bought it individually, per package, per case. Are you okay? So remember, that's something you could do. It depends on your customer. You're getting the deal. It's expensive. They don't know what you paid for it. You have to look at it. Hey, can I make some money off of this without gouging or ripping them off? Okay. Markup cancellation example. Later goods are brought priced at a normal markup of $29.95. Okay, so then I just cancel it, and my new goods is what the regular price is, my original price. Okay, managing markdowns. General, like sales and inventories. You have to look at sales and inventory. Markdowns are planned in advance. Nothing is happening. Sometimes you do if the business is slow or unexpected weather. You have to do something to generate money to pay for your basic operating needs of your business. Okay, tackle over time by department or category. So I already know I'm getting rid of this department, or I'm getting rid of this category, or I'm bringing a new line in. So let's get rid of the other stuff. So it's all calculated. When's the right time? Not too hot, not too cold. So I want to start moving it, still make some money off of it. It's still summer, weather's hot. Why cut down on the what do you call it? Sunscreen or anything else? People are buying it closer to the end. People aren't as likely to buy it. I don't want to have this whole rack. Let's get rid of it and just have the minimum that they'll need because of the season change. Last year markdowns are based for planning this year. So look how much I made last year. When was the appropriate time? Did it work for me? Remember, the software does compare with industry figures. Again, that's your forecasting, and the software is tied in. There's survey companies out there, or statisticians that will give you, here's the industries. And we've had some sites that we looked at before, and the main ones are always there. You just look at it. What's the markdown? What's an average markdown for this category of clothing? Okay? Remember, such as a manufacturer. Markdown projections are also validated against industry standard for comparable types of stores. Again, remember your ratios we talked about in accounting has to look apples to apples, orange to orange. Same kind of store, same kind of product line, or similar, as close as I could get it, so I get a general idea. And categories of merchandise. Markdowns are monitored throughout the season. Make sure I don't mark down too quickly or too lately, because then I get stuck either way. It's that intuition, it's that creativity, it's that knowing. You just have that feeling, you just know. But you already been through the cycle. You can see the customers, you can see what's going on. And I hate to say it, but it is more of an intuitive. The software gives you an idea, but you have to look what's going on. The economy, all these factors as a retail merchandiser or a department store or someone owning a store has to know. Okay. All right, now let's go on the other side. Okay, factors that drive up markdowns. No, we're not doing too bad. Okay, I'll go real quickly. Factors that drive. Must be high enough to cover transportation and workman costs. Remember, less cash discounts. You always subtract that. Expense and net profit. Markdowns. Direct expenses, a formula for initial markups. If I'm looking at the formula, look, I'm not going into it. Here's the formula, a numerator. This is a mathematical thing. So this is some of you, my fashion designers or fashion program or my marketing people who don't like to do math. You have to understand the math. Remember, learn the percentages, the decimals, a little bit algebra, and you'll do well. You have to know the math. You have to know the numbers to that. Or you have to hire someone. And if you hire someone doing it with your numbers, you may get ripped off. You have to get that feel of it. It's like anything else, you could learn it. But you have to focus, take your time, look at the formula. I'm not going to go read it to it. This is the same formula here. Here's how it's set up real quickly. This just explains it in the mathematician's terminology if you're taking it. But now, what does that mean? This number goes here, maintain markup, markdowns, what it is. That's easy. What are my sales? What are my markdowns? And I put that in there. Okay, so I got an example of a shoe buyer, and here's how they broke it in. That was inside I think your readings. Here's the initial prices, and times this times 100. So the initial markup was 50%, and that's about right because it's about 55% on an average. Remember, I'm not going to spend that. I'm trying to move along here. Okay, now what do we have on here? The next one we're going computing initial retail pricing. It's tying in there. So what I do, the initial prices, converting initial markup percentage into a retail price requires the use of a simple formula based on cost complement. The difference between the initial markup percentage and 100% and the wholesale, let me go, I got this so it's one easy for you to read, and the wholesale cost of the item being priced. Retail price, okay, so here's the formula real quickly. I read all this, but explain it. Take your time. Retail price, the cost divided by 100% minus the initial markup percentage. So you divide a percent, subtracting 100% from whatever, 55%, and then you divide it by your cost. And that gives you your retail price. You're working backwards, okay? Took care of that one. Promotional pricing, a discount price offered in hopes. Why do I do a promotion? Generating traffic, stimulating sales in slow period. One time only. Only this store's had the promotion. Other store, because you haven't. Oh, man, I go to the other store. Nope, you don't have the sale. Only here. Remember, you look at McDonald's or you look at some of the franchise, some of the fast foods. As an example, only honored at this store or honored at all stores. That means the corporate's doing. The other one, the individual stores trying to generate the traffic. I may work for a chain, and I'm a manager of a chain, and the chain gives me a national advertising campaign or national promotional. But because I ordered the wrong materials, the wrong merchandising for my demographic, geographic area, I'm stuck with stuff. I may do just for this office a markdown to at least break even. I may not get the profitability that a corporation wants me, but I'd rather get close to it, but not zero or losing money. Okay? All prices change are required. Book entry levels, markdowns at the beginning, markups at the end. Remember, that's when you take accounting, just understand markdowns at the beginning, markups at the end. Computerized scanning, facilitated, markups, facilitate price changes. Okay, computerized. Let's put it in, but make sure you're putting in the right inventory code on there, because you could have an error. Okay. Now we have everyday price lows, and that's, let's say, a value-oriented pricing strategy using ongoing promotion pricing, no advertising, results, lower gross margin but lower expenses. And Walmart, Toys R Us, right? Walmart, their whole thing is everyday low prices. And they do. Why do people go to Walmart? No frills, no trills, everyday low prices. You can't beat them for the items that they carry. They don't have the selection, remember, when you're talking about the depth and breadth. Always throw that in, don't I? Okay, deceptive pricing. What is some deceptive pricing? Avoid deceptive pricing. Why? Regulators need to know government regulation. Bait and switch, you got to be careful. Regular price comparison to the competition. Am I really using the competitor's pricing, or just making it sound like mine is a better deal? Comparison to competitors' pricing. Okay, so I have that in here. Lowest prices, free merchandising, going out of business. If you don't have the lowest prices, you get it for free. But you look at the numbers different, because the ID code or the SKU number is a lot different. Bait and switch, you have it low, but you don't have it in the store in there. It's illegal. But they try to make you buy the larger one. Rain checks are nice. Out of stock, we don't have it out of stock because they're doing a bait and switch. Most people don't like rain check. They got the money, they want it now. They're going to go to your competitors. The rain check, you rarely, you give it out, no one ever cashes it in. Advertise merchandise at sale price and later date. Here's what a rain check looks like. Fills this all out, fine. Then when it comes in, by that time, I don't want the item, or I bought it someplace else. Preparatory pricing, intend to make the competitor go out of business. I'm not talking about penetration pricing you're going to learn in advertising. I purposely go so low, I'm losing money. It's almost like dumping. Only a company doing so low because I'm large to get rid of the mom and pop shop. You can't compete with me. Mom and pop shops, if you're there, the small businesses, don't worry about them. Let them go along. Eventually you're going to have to raise the prices because they can't sustain it. They do it because their other stores are picking up this low price because they're owning it, so they're saying we'll keep this low, we're losing money here, but we raise the prices in the other store. They're still making money as a corporation. But if you're a small business, know your customers, they'll come to you. You just say, hey, I got better value, I got this. Eventually, it depends on the service and everything else, how long could this stay low? And the whole thing is who could outlast who. Where penetration pricing is, I'm in there for the first 30 days, because I'm a new business to get customers in there, and it's part of my marketing expenses. Then I'm going to raise it up to the regular prices. Okay, here's a pick. Legal issues. Now here's the question that I have in the pick. Should bars be allowed to have ladies' night when women are admitted either for free or at a reduced rate? Once inside, several drinks at a reduced rate. Is this illegal price discrimination? Man, guys, I don't get it. Just because I want the ladies in there, there's one guy here. Maybe it's in reverse. This is the odds, guys. Look at all these women and one guy. Is that a marketing thing to bring in, or is that illegal pricing? That's a good question. You probably have it up to those who take a business law. Bring that up to your law teacher. So, I would do it. Remember, because I'm a bar owner, how do you get guys? Guys are the ones who got the money spending, or same thing, ladies. You want to go in there, there's a good mixture of men, and men, there's a good mixture of women. If you just have one over the other, depends on your sexual orientation. Otherwise, everyone wants a nice mixture. All right, so if I got more guys, 1,000 guys, one woman coming in there, oh geez, some ladies like that, on the center of stage. Others aren't going to like that. That's like, hey, the same thing. I go in, there's all these women, oh, the odds are in me, but then that's not what you want. You don't feel comfortable. You want a nice mixture in the bars. But, so if I got a lot of guys in there, how am I going to get women in there? I give discounts. Women can come in free, bring your girlfriend in, bring somebody else in, bring a ladies' night out and everything else. And what happened? Ladies' night out, I got discount just for ladies, but no, there's mostly men coming in there. Oh, more ladies' night out. That's when I gotta go. Or men's night out, because a lot of places will cater to women that are professionals. You want to come out there, have a drink, and you want to be, so you want, and men want the same thing. So here's a men's night out, and ladies say, hey, if we want to find the professional men, we'll go to this one out. I'm trying to balance this. I'm a marketer. It's irrelevant. Okay, resale price maintenance. Resale price maintenance, if I look at this, are illegal. You can't resale price maintenance, manipulate it. Fair trade are illegal. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at, here's the fair trade. I'm putting the prices and they're not, I'm making them up. You know what I mean? There's nothing. Manufacturer sucks at retail price. You got to be careful. Here's a manufacturer retail price, but they never sold it at their retail price. They just put a number on there so people think I'm getting a higher quality and it's really not. That's, when you look a bit on the deceptive, so you got to be careful. Some of them are very honest, but some aren't. You never, retail merchandise, what the heck does that mean? You never sold it in a retail store. This is a suggestion, but everything's always $20 cheaper. Minimum advertising price, and manufacturers sell to retailers. All right, well, look, as a manufacturer, retail maintenance price, who can offer services? I got this X. Let me clear that up. Okay, stop shipments to price cutters. Remember, if somebody's if I look at the Xbox or Sony, PlayStation. You can't, when they have a sale, everyone has a sale. So I can't just say, hey, I paused for here, I'm going to lower the price, lose money, just to get people in to buy my store and buy all my other games that I have there. Remember? Xbox, Sony says you will only sell at this price. If you don't sell at this price, you no longer, I won't ship it. Because they want to contain the price. And that's their prerogative. Alright, so I can't, so when there's a discount at Target, all of them get the same discount. Or sometimes they may give a discount just for one store. But that has to be an agreement with that store. Okay, pricing is as a science. If I look at a science, I use all the numbers, right? Science. It's concerned with a mathematical relationship. That's the science. Price is a quantitative decision. In business, everything else is numbers. What are the numbers? Don't lie. Okay, based on numeric relationships among various pricing components. So it's a science and it's also an art. Price is qualitative decision based on intuition and creativity. The numbers may say, no, they're not. People aren't going to like this. You're going to raise the price. But in reality, people like it because, remember, science can't tell that the creativity of an individual, that individual likeness. How could I tell? Just because I was born in the same family. Look at your family. All had the same father, the same mother. I know there's a lot of divorce and different families moving on. Let's say you're in the same environment. And everyone's different. They got different personalities. Some are good, some are bad, some are mediocre. What's the difference? Same environment. Because we're different. Science can't do it, so it's an art. How do I adjust my pricing to my customers? And the last one, internet. Offers unlimited shopping experience, right? On the internet, Amazon has captured that. Google's trying to get into the business. Seeking the lowest prices. Shoppers use blogs or search engines. I could shop it, compare. Retailers using electronic channels. You have to. e-commerce. There's no way around it. Small or big. Even if you don't have anything else there, put it on there. Give them menus. Give them something. You know what I mean? I don't sell any products. It's only all local. You have to have it internet. People are looking at the internet side. Somebody's looking at it. Somebody may say, hey, I like that idea. Could I franchise it? I taste it. Did you think of expanding? You never know. All right? So this is it. I'm going to stop here, and people are going, oh my goodness, what's going on? There's so much information. I understand that. Now, class, you're learning a lot. This is just a touch. For some of you, you've never had any accounting classes. You have anything else. You have to take accounting. Accounting is more rigid, everything else. But then you understand the different ledgers and everything else. This is completely a little different. This would be what you would call managerial accounting, for lack of better words, or retail merchandising, specifically how I'm doing pricing. Forget the accounting. What's my markup? And if I look at it, I can't have the same markup percentage for all goods. Some goods are higher, some sit longer, so I have a different markup to make up that burden costs. The maintenance. Because it's taking space, electricity, everything else. When do I get rid of it? I hate to take markdowns, but sometimes I gotta get rid of the stuff. It's just there. I gotta throw it away. I got all this food, and I spent all this money, but nobody ate it because I purchased wrong. And I said, man, I spent all this good for the grapes, but they're all sour now, or just as good, or maybe I should eat it now or give it away. I got to get rid of it. I hate to do it. You lost it. Next time you don't buy that much, or you have to be below, what did I change? What should I change? So pricing is a direct reflection on your inventory. And inventory, if I have goods that aren't moving, I have to look at the pricing. How much do I mark up? How much do I mark down? I hate markdowns, but I have to. When do I do something permanent? When do I do something temporary? Promotional is temporary. What do you call it? When I'm doing clearance, that's permanent. I'm getting rid of it. I just want it out of there. Nothing wrong with it. It's just I got a new product, and and I'm a store that's always with the new innovative, up-to-date products, and otherwise this product may just be obsolete. After a while, no one's buying it because they don't have any parts, or the new product has a new feature they're looking for. So, but I can still sell it. But I have to sell it for those price-sensitive individuals. Now they're looking, oh, this is the price I want to buy it. Okay? So we have everything in here. Let me just bring this down one more, and I'll do a real quick, I'll do 100%. So here's what we did today. We did everything else. We did prices. Correct prices is important for your inventory. If your inventory is sitting, you have to look at your pricing, plus with your marketing campaign. Promotion, positioning, everything we're talking about makes sense. Eventually, when you finish this course in retail merchandising, you will have a good, solid foundation of what it takes to bring your product to the market. All right, that's all I'm going to say now. You have everything else, so look at it, read the book, read this chapter twice, because it's a little bit harder. Look at the formulas, look at the examples. I just briefly went over this within an hour and some minutes. Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this is Retail Merchandising, Chapter 12, Retail Pricing. Part of your brand image, part of moving your product, part of looking at it to make sure I mark my prices high to cover my costs and still make a decent living, so I, as a business owner or manager, get that promotion or have some disposable income. And I'll see you in the next session.